Welcome to A1R Psychic Radio here on Moonstruck TV with Amanda Hall Psychic all the way from the Gold Coast. I hope wherever you are in this amazing planet of ours, you've had an absolutely fantastic week. I know for many people it's still a struggle as they're sort of trying to come to terms with the new normal, as everybody's classing it as, after we've come through the other side of the pandemic. I'm not quite convinced we're there yet, but anyway, we're hopefully heading in the right direction. And no matter what you're going through at the moment in your life, I hope that you're trying to do this with a smile on your face, even if it might be tough. It's time to sort of really try and put a smile on your face, and let's try and make the world a much brighter place. You know, every time you turn the television on and you listen to the news or you watch the news, there's always some heartbreak somewhere around the world, and it's sort of like, I think it's time for us to try and put a positive spin on things, to try and lighten the mood a little bit, you know, from all the doom and gloom around the world. I think we need some positivity in our lives at the moment. So this week's Simply Tarot card of the week is the Sun. And this reflects this, that how I want everybody to start to feel is to feel bright, positive, full of hope for the future, that we can find something different in our lives to be happy and excited about. The Sun represents the card of marriage. Now, when we use the word marriage, I do mean legalised marriage, you know, the piece of paper type stuff, not the modern version of living together or sharing a life with somebody without that piece of paper. It is also the card of happiness, bright prospects. So I'd rather look at this card as being happiness and bright prospects for all of us, because I think it's about time we turned that corner and we started to have something to focus on, something to look forward to, something in our lives that we can turn around and say, we've got something exciting on the horizon, even if it's just, you know, getting out of bed and going to work and getting on with our lives, that we're still breathing. That's a positive. So I think we all have something very much in the world to look forward to at the moment. So we'll move on to the astrology section of the show. And this week, I sort of want to take a little bit of time towards the end of this to talk about retrograde planets and what they mean and why they affect us so much. But the beginning part of the show, we've got the Sun in Cancer. Now, it's the Cancerian time of the year for all our darling little crabs to sparkle and shine and sort of bask in the limelight. And a lot of them are very shy and don't necessarily really like to sort of be and thrust into the limelight. They like to just sort of blend into the background and sort of almost be inconspicuous. And then there's other little Cancerians that really like to sort of come out and sort of sparkle in the sunshine and show off their tough exterior, even though they're like marshmallow on the inside. So no matter which sort of Cancer you are, happy birthday. It's your month. It's your time to shine. So at the moment, we have the part of fortune, which is not an actual planet, but is part of the Arabian parts. And it's not necessarily where we find the pot of gold at the end of the rainbow, but it's where we have an opportunity to shine and where we have an opportunity to really expand our lives and really start to feel comfortable in ourselves. Now, the part of fortune is holding hands or conjunct the moon, and the moon is holding hands or conjunct the sun. Now, they're all sitting in Cancer. So this is particularly for our darling little Cancerians. You have an opportunity now to get in touch with yourself, with any sort of emotional issues that you might have been burying or not sure how to deal with or what to do about. Now's the time to dive in and explore them, because you've got the part of fortune there that's going to help you sort of uncover and dig deep and sort of find some sort of joy out of the emotions and really sort of give you an opportunity to sort of really sparkle and shine at the moment, because Cancer is a very emotional sign and everything sort of refers back to them trying to find emotional security. So this is the one and rare time in a lifetime, or one of the rare times in your lifetime, where you can really truly feel at one with yourself and your emotions. And I have many Cancerian girlfriends and clients and everything. And over the years, there's been one thing that's always jumped out to me, and particularly the female Cancerians. They talk about chocolate as being one of the 5 food groups for them. They have to have a little bit of it every single day because that's what keeps them emotionally balanced. I don't know whether that's true, but that's what they claim anyway. And if you're a Cancer and you need to have your little chocolate fix each day, well, that's fine. You know, if that's what keeps your equilibrium, well, I think you could do a lot worse than that. So it's a really positive time for Cancerians to really get in touch with their emotions and work out what it is that they want to achieve going forward. And it's not necessarily, does it have to be a negative emotion? It can be something that you're celebrating in yourself, or celebrating the fact that, you know, you've never felt stronger in your life on an emotional front. Well done for you. That's terrific. So happy birthday, Cancerians, as we move on. We have Neptune, the planet of illusion and delusion, is going retrograde or backwards at the moment in the chart. It's in Pisces. It will be there till December this year in retrograde position. Now, when a planet moves retrograde, and we have a number of them at the moment, it doesn't necessarily take away the energy of the planet. It doesn't necessarily negatively impact it. What it does in a lot of instances is actually make the planet work harder, because it's really trying to sort of swim against the tide almost, and to try and bring about the changes that are necessary in our lives. It just means it has to work doubly hard. It doesn't mean that it minimises the energy or the intent of the planet and what it's trying to transform in our lives with the transits. It's giving it an opportunity to sort of really, I suppose in a sense, strut their stuff. By having to work harder to get results, it makes people more determined. So with Neptune in Pisces at the moment going retrograde, and it will be till the end of the year, anybody that's a Piscean will find that they really have to work doubly hard to get their message across, to sort of get people to understand and follow their vision. But it's also a very positive time for anybody that is a Pisces, or anybody that's working on creative endeavours, because it means that you will put in the extra miles, you will put in the extra time and effort it makes to create something, to write that song, to write the poetry, to produce the film, to do anything that comes under the creative umbrella. No matter what star sign you are, you have more determination now to make it happen. So in that way, Neptune being retrograde is to your advantage. It's something that is sort of helping you along a little bit, where you think you've got stuck and you sort of think, I can't get the answers to this, or the song's not flowing. Take a breath, go for a walk, come back, have a little bit of R&R, downtime, and come back. And I think you'll find then that the creative block that you've had, the juices will start to flow, and everything will start to flow a lot easier. So it really is quite a magical time, particularly for Pisceans at the moment. They have an opportunity to show that they are really very, very strong people, that they're not what they're affectionately known for, two fish chasing its tail and never coming to a conclusion. They're exactly the opposite to that. They have the power and the ability of all the previous 11 signs, so they have a lot more wisdom than the rest of us mere mortals, to be able to bring something positive to the table and show people that maybe there's new ways of dealing with a problem, that we can have more than one solution. Have we thought outside the box? Have we looked at it from maybe just moving one piece of the puzzle from one point to the other? That creates a different way of looking at things, that sheds more light on situations. So it's just a pity that we haven't got more world leaders that are born under the sign of Pisces at the moment. We could certainly do with that. We could do with some fresh ideas around the table on how to resolve some of the world events. We also have Saturn, the planet of discipline and opportunity, is sitting in Aquarius, another planet at the moment that's going retrograde. Saturn will be going retrograde until October. This doesn't mean all of a sudden rules and regulations fly out the window. What it means is that for us to remain disciplined, we have to sort of keep really focused on this. It may also mean that there may be a couple of times there where we really feel we're not making any progress at all, that it's slower than a snail's pace, and it might very well be. But if this is the case and you're trying to bring about change or bring about something to a conclusion and it's going slower than a snail's pace, maybe there's a reason for this. Maybe it's been designed by fate that things need to slow down so that we get the right outcome out of this. So just be aware. It's not always a bad thing that something might slow down or a project might slow down, because if we'd gone at the same pace, maybe we might have missed something amazing to come out of this, and maybe by just going at a slower pace, we get a better result. So if you're an Aquarian and you're sort of feeling a little bit blocked at the moment, or you feel as if life isn't going the way that you want it to, just take a couple of deep breaths, chill, and just sort of say, okay, well, I'm here for the ride. I'll just slow things down and go with the pace that's being offered, and don't get too frustrated. And all of a sudden, before you know it, the situations will be sort of rocketing along again, and you'll start to feel that you're back in control. It is also affecting the other 11 signs. There may be some restrictions on things moving forward. There may be things that, that were set to start on a particular date, and you may find some slight delay there with them for various reasons. But again, be aware This is happening because it's meant to. It's meant to slow things down so that we get better results. We have Venus, the planet of love and affection, is conjunct or holding hands Mercury in Gemini. Now, this is a really magical transit because it means anybody that's searching for love or would like a new relationship in their life or just wants to sort of get out and meet people, this is the perfect time because Venus is the planet of love and affection, and Venus is the planet that makes us look attractive to other people, whether that's in a love situation or whether it's going to be in a working relationship. It sort of softens everything. It makes everything have this beautiful glow about it. Now, when it's conjunct or holding hands, the planet of communication, which is Mercury, it means that people are sort of seeing us in a different light. It means people are finally listening to what we've got to say. They might even be sort of mesmerized by you and sort of you think, well, this is something really important I'm trying to talk about. Stop sitting there staring at me with lovey-dove eyes, or cow eyes, as I like to affectionately call it. Please pay attention. This is serious, you know. What I'm trying to present to you has merit and all this sort of thing. And it doesn't mean if your boss is sitting there mesmerized to you and you're sort of giving him a delivery or a presentation that they're falling in love with you. It just means they're captivated under your spell at the moment, that what you've got to say has really got their full attention. And, you know, they mightn't be able to sort of focus on anything else. It's sort of like they're spellbound at the moment. So look at it in that way. It's a good thing if people are spellbound and captivated by what you've got to say, because it means that they are listening, and maybe then we might get some breakthroughs and you might just be able to move your projects along a little bit faster because you have got people there that are spellbound by what you're saying. So for those single people that are looking or feel it's time to sort of step out of their comfort zone and search for love, now is the perfect time, because you will have the opportunity to get out and about and meet more people. It's the time of the year, particularly in the Northern Hemisphere, where it's nice and warm and it's barbecue weather and it's party season and everybody's out having a good time and frolicking in the sun and enjoying the water or whatever may be. And it's a time where you do sort of tend to gather more, I think, and particularly in the outdoors in the warmer months where, you know, party season is on, you know, any excuse for a get-together and a cook-up. And that's a good thing. So it gives you, it expands your horizons, the opportunities for you to maybe mix and mingle with new people, to be introduced to new people. It's also the time that if you're a little bit on the shy side, maybe look at taking a new course, learning something new, because, you know, Mercury does rule things like communication, you know, study, learning something new, you know, going off and doing a course in something that gives you pleasure. So you need to be sort of stepping out and about, out of your comfort zone a little bit, but going to places where other people gather as well. It's a bit hard to meet somebody if you're a loner and you only take up a hobby or a new interest that only involves you as a solo person. You need to be sort of getting out amongst crowds so that you've got this opportunity to meet new people. For many people, this will be the time when they will meet that special someone, and they'll look back and say, wow, I would never have thought I'd meet the love of my life here, or I never thought to go and join a choir, or I never thought to go and join 10-pin bowling or something like that. You know, they'll get out and about amongst where people are so that you will meet people of like-minded souls like you that have similar interests to you, because you're there at the same gathering point. So it is a magical time if you're searching for love. For our darling little Aries people, Jupiter is still in Aries at the moment, sort of chalking up opportunities for you to sort of really expand your horizons at the moment. It really is a double emphasis at the moment, because you've also got the planet Mars of action and opportunity is sitting in your sign at the moment, which is your ruling sign, which will only be there for another couple of months. So please make sure that you capitalise on the opportunities that can be coming your way at the moment, with the double emphasis of these two planets sitting in Aries at the moment, creating opportunities for you to expand your horizons and really sort of reach out and grab what you want to be rightfully yours in your life. We still have Pluto, the planet of transformation, sitting in Capricorn, will be there till 2024. So Pluto is working hard trying to get people to sort of particularly tidy up their backyard, listen to the scientists about global warming, and trying, I hope, to get our world leaders to come to some sort of agreement on how to handle this situation in Ukraine, which seems to be getting out of control now that they're bombing shopping centres and killing civilians. This man needs to be stopped. He is a bully, and it needs to be stopped. So let's hope with the conference that's going on overseas at the moment with the world leaders that maybe that they can think outside the square and maybe find some resolutions to this, and, without making countries suffer too much. And I appreciate that the Northern Hemisphere needs, fuel to keep them warm over the winter months that are coming up. But there may be some other solutions that maybe haven't come to light yet. We're going to take our first caller now, and it's Kathleen in Lavinia in New York. Are you there, Kathleen?
Yes, I am.
Do you have a question I can work with, please, Kathleen?
I'm sorry, what was that?
Do you have a question I can answer for you?
Do you see anything in my future love life?
Oh, that's a great question, Kathleen. Yes, I actually do. I feel that you've spent a fair bit of time on your own and soul searching and sorting out what it is and what you don't want in a relationship. And I think we've pretty much got that sorted now. So it's just a matter of, I think, us getting you out the door a little bit more, Kathleen, to open up the opportunities for you to meet people. It's interesting because what they're sharing with me is that I think a number of people have told you you've got to lower your standard. Your standards are too high. You're asking for too much in a relationship. And I'm going to say, no, you're not. I feel you've worked out now what it is that you will accept and what you won't accept. And if that means not having a relationship, well, that's okay too, because you're not going to accept half of what you want or 3/4 of what you want. You want the whole package. Having said that, I do believe that there's a new man coming into your life. They keep showing me somewhere between August and October. Now, I'm going to take from that maybe you meet him in August, but maybe there's going to be a slight delay with this relationship getting off the ground, because maybe he's got a trip booked, or maybe work is very busy and it's not enabling this to sort of get off to a really flying start. It's there and you've met, but I feel it's going to take a little bit of time before we can get it sort of into full gear. I like him. He's got dark hair, he's got brown eyes, he's got a really cheeky looking smile, but I get a very serious side to him too. I think he's a man that is in a fairly responsible type of employment, because I see him sort of having to make really big decisions of a day. I'm not sure that I would necessarily say self-employed, but I'd say somebody that's really high up in their profession, somebody that has, takes a lot of work home with them of a night. And, he has a lot of responsibility on his plate. Having said that, I still think that there's a fun side to him. There's a nice sort of gentle side to him as well. I mean, I get him as being a very strong man, but there's a gentle side to him as well. It's really interesting because a lot of people wouldn't know this about him, but he really does enjoy the finer things of life. He's sort of, yes, he's a busy man professionally, but I think personally he likes to keep his personal life very private. It's not something he likes to sort of cross over between business and pleasure. They should remain separate as possible. And he really does enjoy, like sort of going to the theatre, going to see a movie, going to see a stage show, going to see a musical. Those sort of things re-energise his soul. He's not much of a drinker, if any at all. He sort of enjoys his own company a little bit, but if he's at home by himself, I just hear music blaring out. He just loves music. That sort of feeds his soul. And I feel he hasn't been in a relationship for some time, and that's been by choice, because he really felt his life was too busy, and he felt his previous relationship was a very long one, was quite toxic, and he had to sort of extricate himself from that and sort of come out the other side sort of a different person. He felt he contributed to part of that as well, and he had to take responsibility for that and sort of sort out who he is and where he's going. But I do think once the relationship starts to get a move on, Kathleen, I think it's going to be strong, it's going to be dynamic, and it's going to be, move at a reasonable pace. But it's just interesting because the two of you have so much to talk about, and it's really lovely to see. So I hope that's helped you.
Yes, yeah, very much so. Thank you.
You're very, very welcome. That's where we're going to leave Kathleen. We're going to move to another Kathy in Riverton in Wyoming in USA. So it's Kathy's and Kathleen days today. How are you today, Kathy?
Good, how are you?
Very well, thank you, sweetie. How can I help you? Do you have a question I can answer for you?
Yes, I'm wondering about my job. I just got a new job offer, and they want me to stay at my old job, and I'm just wondering if I should just leave that old job altogether.
Okay, so with this new job
I would do.
Okay, so I think it'd be virtually impossible to hold on to both jobs, don't you? And do them both well?
Right.
Because the first thing that comes up, yeah, but the first thing that comes to mind here, into my mind here, is the fact that it's like the old job is trying to sort of hang on to you, and they're sort of trying to guilt you into staying. And I don't feel comfortable with that. You know, had they really treated you right and had they sort of honoured what you did for them before you've got another job, you probably wouldn't have looked for another job. So to me, it's sort of very selfish of them trying to guilt you into staying or staying a little bit longer.
Right. And then I have another question. Do you think that you can tell me a little bit more about my husband and I got a divorce, and there's supposed to be someone coming in, but I don't know really what I'm looking for.
Okay. I think that's probably a fair question, Kathy, after you've been through so many changes and, you know, you've got a divorce, and divorce is never easy, even if we're the ones that instigate it. There's still a certain amount of emotion and that we have to process. And I think that probably the biggest thing with divorce, whether we want to admit it or not, is that nobody gets married to get divorced. So we feel this sense of failure, that when something doesn't work, that I must be the worst person in the world because this happened to me. Well, nothing could be further from the truth. It's, you know, people get divorced for many varied reasons, and it's usually a pretty hard decision for all parties concerned, because it's, you know, we've got to sort of then admit that, oh, well, hang on a minute. Not so much I made a mistake, but we grew apart. For some reason or another, we didn't have the happily ever after. So, you know, when you come out the other side of that and you sort of start to feel a little bit battered and bruised and looking at yourself and sort of saying, well, can I really trust my own judgment? Do I really know what it is I'm searching for or I'm seeking in a new relationship? And that can be very daunting, because all the things that we knew to be what we thought we wanted in a relationship and we maybe had in our previous marriage didn't work. So what is it now that I'm searching for? The best thing I can suggest to you, Kathy, is the fact that we all change. Everything that we're searching for in life or we think that we need changes as we grow older. So what would have made you happy at 18 or 20 or 25 doesn't necessarily make you happy now. So you need to look at not necessarily, say, having a list and sort of saying, well, I've got to tick all these things off for the right relationship. Learn to follow what your gut is telling you. If something feels right and it feels really exaggerated right, then it probably is right. If something's gnawing at you and saying, hang on a minute, there's something not quite right here, then you've got to explore that, because that's your own intuition, your own spirit guides warning you, suggesting to you, hang on a minute, something's not right here. We need to look a little bit further. What I'm picking up, Kathy, is that I think you need to stop being so hard on yourself. It took two to get married. It took two to get divorced. You know, we can distribute blame in different ways, but, you know, it took both of you to get to that decision. So we sort of let that go, forgive yourself and move forward. Now, having said that, there will be somebody new coming into your life, I think as early as sort of August, September, which isn't far away. Again, I get a fairly tall man, but I get a man with mid-brown hair. He's got green to hazily coloured eyes. He's got an interesting face. I wouldn't say he's a pretty boy, and I wouldn't say that he's ruggedly handsome. I'm going to say he's got an interesting face. He's somebody that, you know, each time you look at him, it's sort of like I almost get a different version of the face, and that's nice. He's interesting. He's got a cheeky smile. He's got very sparkly eyes, and he's a man that I think is very direct. What you see is what you get. There's no BS there. If he tells you look lovely today, he means it. You know, don't ask him a question unless you want an honest answer. I feel he's a hard-working man. I feel that he's had a really tough life up until now, but you wouldn't know it because he doesn't sit there and sort of dwell in misery or anything like that. He has this amazing positive outlook where he's always looking on the brighter side of life or looking towards something new and positive coming into his life. And I think that's what's got him through. It's, you know, it's not that he doesn't want to talk about his past. He will over time, but he doesn't like to dwell on it. He says, oh, well, that happened. It must have been for a reason. I've learnt from that and I've moved forward. I do feel when you meet him, what, sweetie?
Will I be moving?
Will you be moving? Not yet, you won't be, no.
Okay.
I don't see a move of residence in the next 6 months. I feel that there's other changes to come into your life. I think you're in too much of a hurry to try and sort everything out yesterday. You've got to allow life to come at its own pace, Kathy, instead of being sort of trying to get everything sorted yesterday. Let's just take one step at a time. But he's a very, very interesting man. And I feel that you will have a good life with him. Anyway, Kathy, that's where we've got to leave it. We've come to the end of the show now. It's the show always goes very quick, and it's always interesting to talk with people around the world. This week, before I go, I want to sort of share with you a song that was a big hit here in Australia, and I think a lot of people here thought, why would this be such a big hit, and almost, you know, went down in history here as one of the folklore songs that had nothing at all to do with Australia. But here in Australia, we embraced the two different versions of this song, the shorter version and the longer version. And even today, you hear radio stations around this amazing nation still play this song quite often. So I think it's fitting that I leave you with this song, particularly as next week is your happy 4th of July. And I hope you have a big party planned and a big cook-up or a gathering of people. So I want to leave you with the song American Pie by Don Mclean. And it is actually one of those songs that I really particularly like because I particularly like the long version. And I have had the good fortune of seeing Don Mclean live and singing that song. And he was just absolutely amazing as he sat on his stool and strummed his guitar and sang that song to the audience as if we were just all sitting around his lounge room with the fire crackling and just watching him sing. He is an amazing entertainer. So happy 4th of July to all our USA family. Till next week. Bye for now.